start my screen recording. Okay, so our entry task, the entry and exit tasks are related today. As you can tell, they're not directly web design related. However, the phone is an important piece of technology that all of us have pretty different relationships with. And that relationship will change dependent on how busy you are or how important you let the relationship be. And that's something I want you to kind of just think about for your entry and your exit tasks today. But as far as daily tasks go, I have two major things I want us to do. Work on A1 and A2 and asking any questions you might be having. And I want to start with this VS Code intro so you can start using the VS Code app on your computers and actually start to see what your output looks like, just like when you do the CodePen or when you do the Try It Yourself editor on W3 Schools. Those two online tools that showed you when you put code as an input and what you get as an output. Okay? What do you get out of today? You get VS Code app practice. You get to continue practicing HTML, so making that HTML work. And then for the exit task, we're going to talk about your phone's role in your life and reflecting on that, at least starting to think about what purpose your phone serves you as you are, growing up, right? So the methods that we'll use today are a couple different ways of being persistent, guessing and checking on things. Remember, the process is more important than the product. Asking for help from your neighbors, from myself, using your work time wisely, all different types of shapes that persistence takes. And that's one of the main non-web design related skills that I hope you learn from this class and that I want to teach you. And then we'll also just have some reflection skills and then just being honest with yourself and trusting the said process. Okay? We'll get to the tracking a little bit later. That's kind of our second half of the day. First, I want to show you VS Code. Okay? So, VSCode.dev is the website version of the app Visual Studio Code. And I'm telling you all this because I want you to practice this idea of referencing instead of memorizing. Because there is just so much web design content on the internet, and because it is a very collaborative environment / workspace, I want you to practice kind of remembering how to get places and how to find things instead of remembering exactly how to do something. Because you can always look back up exactly how to do something along the way. Anyways, what I want to show you first is in your start menu, yours might be in light mode, mine's in dark mode. You can type the letters VSC, and you're going to see this little kind of fish-shaped, this little blue ribbony kind of app pop up called Visual Studio Code. If you click on that, that will open up a very similar looking window to VSCode.dev. The main difference is that VSCode.dev, like I mentioned, is kind of a trial version. It's kind of the light version, right? LITE version. It doesn't have all the features that VS Code, the app, has before you, okay? So the same way, yours might look like this. I don't want you to worry too much about opening a folder or much of the buttons on the side, right? The magnifying glass, the little kind of source control, the little bug dot. We'll get to the bug dot a little bit later. But, like I mentioned the other day, if you click on this Start New File right here, it's going to have very similar shapes to VSCode.dev. Because they are the same. So we're going to start the file the same way we started it last time by clicking on a text file, and then we can click on the select a language here and set it to HTML. Right? Remember that these are in alphabetical order. So when you click on select a language, it will give you all the different options, all the ones that we're not going to learn every single one of these languages because I don't even know close to every single one of these languages. Okay? But by clicking HTML, that tells our computer, remember our computers are very, very literal creatures, that tells our computer to read this recipe as HTML. Okay? This is sounding very similar to what we did yesterday, right? I'm partly reviewing and I'm also partly reiterating that a lot of these things happen the same way. Okay? So that being said, can anybody tell me what the name of the specific HTML thing is that makes the code happen? Yeah, Jigtrail. Huh? Yes, it is the letters HTML, but what do I do specifically? They're called brackets. So start shift comma shift period. Okay? So we got to do some brackets. Shift comma HTML shift period. Okay? Now I have, can anybody remember what this is called? Or what these are called? It's a T word, 4 letters. It's what you do when you blank your friends on Instagram when they're in your pictures. Tags. Exactly. These are called tags. Can anybody remember the analogy or the metaphor that I used for tags the other day or during your block grade? A sandwich. So what do we have in our sandwich right now? Anything? Pretty boring sandwich. Just bread. It's a bread sandwich right now. What you need in order for your sandwich to start tasting good and what you want for your code to start appearing as code is some content in the middle. Capital C content. Okay? And this is, again, kind of part of the review part from yesterday. Once you add a start tag and an end tag, your 2 slices of bread, right? Almost all sandwiches have 2 slices of bread, just like almost all tags have a start and an end tag. You put content in the middle, you fill your sandwich with stuff that you like, and it changes the outcome. So for example, if I put something like text in here, this now has become an element. Okay? A completed sandwich is the same as an element. Just like when you're thinking about in chemistry, when you combine different chemicals together, you combine different periodic elements, you can have different results. Okay? Why are we reviewing all this? This sounds very similar to yesterday. Partly it's because the more you hear something, the more it sticks. Right? It takes about 4 to 6 times of hearing something over and over again to really start remembering it. Okay? This is why I have you guys practice the consistent parts of the classroom over and over again so you don't have to think about them anymore. Okay? Or they happen naturally, is what I mean. What we're going to do with VS Code, specifically the app, instead of vscode.dev, is you'll start to be able to see your outcome or your output because you can actually run the code. Okay? So if I go to W3 Schools real quick, and I grab a very simple element like the paragraph element, which is going to be a super helpful one for you to complete DCA2. Let's look on the search bar right here, and I just type the word paragraph. Okay? And let's see what pops up. There's the HTML tag right up here on the top. Again, this is my process of referencing. This is how I learned how to use these codes and how to use these languages to start getting to do what I want. Okay? So if I click on the first result, it's going to give me a walkthrough and a breakdown showing the element, how it's coded on W3 Schools. Okay? So we can copy this exactly. A lot of web design is copying and pasting. A lot of web design is taking what already exists and refining it to your needs, much like when you take a source in a research paper for history or for English or ELA. You use it for what you need to use it for, but you don't take the entire thing, right? You don't just drop the entire document into your essay. What we'll do is create our own paragraph elements by adding a start tag, an end tag, and some content. So we'll go back to VS Code, which is this guy down on the bottom of your taskbar. And instead of this word text right here, I'm going to go shift comma, the letter P, which is the element or the shortcut for paragraph, and then a shift period. Okay? Quick review. How can you tell the difference between a start tag and an end tag? The slash, exactly. The slash that's in front of the twin. Okay? Why am I saying these are twins? They're the same. They're pairs and they're the same. I know that's not how twins literally work, but it will be for this purposes. Okay? Is this a complete element yet? No. Why? There's nothing in it. This is a bread sandwich, which is fine on its own, but doesn't really taste like anything. So if I add some content in between my start tag and my end tag, we'll wait for the bell. Something like, here is one of my stops on my transit itinerary, which is the assignment. Let's see if I can spell itinerary right. Itinerary. Okay. Now we have an element. Now we have a completed sandwich that has 2 slices of bread, a start tag and an end tag, a beginning bread and an ending bread, and some content in the middle. Some type of veggie, some type of protein, some type of sauce, right, that is going to make this sandwich appear more visibly. Okay? I'm showing you this in VS Code Dev because you'll see there's this play button right here. All right? You guys seeing this if you're following along with me? There's this play button on the side. The play button says run and debug when you open it or when you hover over it with your mouse. By clicking on that, you'll expand out the bar, expand out the box, and there'll be this run and debug blue button right here. You can change the theme of your VS Code. I'm going to keep it default so you can always reference what I'm talking about and the colors match up. You'll see this blue Run and Debug button right here. And when you click that, it's going to first ask us to save. We have not saved yet, which is always going to be a very important web design skill, is consistently saving. Okay? For now, just put this somewhere on like your documents or your desktop, and you want to save it as an HTML file. All right? So leave the save as type. You can leave the file name. You can change it to be like your last name, for example, or you can call it practice. You can call it whatever you want, so long as it has that .html at the end of it. Okay? So I'm just going to call it Blake Me. And I'm going to click Save. Okay? Now, once I've saved my work, you see that little progress bar, the small blue line that's kind of going against underneath the Run and Debug? It's because it's asking me where I should run my code. And running your code is telling your computer to read the recipe. And the recipe we've written right here is a paragraph element, just some basic text, that says, here is one of the stops on my transit itinerary. I'm going to pick Edge because that is the default browser for the school. You can use whichever app or browser you prefer. I'm a Firefox user at home. So you can do, for now, just for demonstration purposes, because I want it to be as close to in-class as possible, we're going to use Edge. Okay? And now what that does is open up your web page, the recipe you just wrote, and you can see the paragraph elements on our output look different from the paragraph elements on our input. All right? What you can do from here is split your screen so that when you kind of make it like CodePen, right? I've got two different screens here. If I click and drag this to the left and then click on this on the right, when I make changes, if you want to get rid of this bar on the side, sorry, excuse me, I have the hiccups. If you want to get rid of this bar on the side, you can just click the button again. If you want to add new things to your site, like for example, I add another paragraph element. How do I start my paragraph elements? Brackets, exactly. Shift comma, P, shift period, and then I'll say something simple like this is another paragraph. Okay? Now when I hold Control on my keyboard, CTRL, right in the bottom left corner there, and press the S key, nothing happens currently, which is not what was supposed to. Let me go back here and make sure. Whoops. It's okay. You can just leave it on the floor. So in order for, in this most basic setup, in order for our output to start reflecting our input, we need to click on this green Restart button. Okay? If you click on the green Restart, you're going to see this is another paragraph pop up because we added another step to our recipe. And this is why I was showing you the other day, finding the tags with a source like W3 Schools and then changing them for what you need to change them to is how you'll be able to complete DC A1. Okay? Is what I'm showing you making sense so far? Okay. Yes, you have a question?
Why does it say the other one?
It doesn't say the, okay, make sure you click on the green Restart right here. If it's not showing up when you make a change to the input, click the green Restart so that it makes a change on the output. There will be something we install next week that will make this act more like Google Docs or more like W3 Schools or CodePen, where you make a change on the left, it gets reflected on the right. You make a change on the input, it makes a change automatically on the output. But for now, again, we're starting very slow, very steady, so that you don't get overwhelmed by how these websites become. Okay? Does that make sense? What questions are we having so far? Before I give you some time to work on this, I want to show you how all of this relates to your assignment DCA2, because by completing PCA1, you have a itinerary with maybe some images, with a lot of text, with maybe perhaps some links to destinations. You have a couple different types of HTML elements. Those three things I've just listed are different types of elements, different types of things you could look for on W3 Schools. To complete DCA1, or DCA2, excuse me, use VS Code to start adding these things with tags. Practice using your start tags and end tags. Adding content in the middle to turn them into elements or sandwiches. Okay? you can start creating the code and running it to see what the output looks like to copy and paste in here. Does that make sense? Okay. And you have until midnight on Friday to complete this. And I want to give you some time today to do that. Also, I'll be walking around asking questions or answering questions as needed. Okay? I'm going to cut this video. We'll recap at the end. I need about, what time does this class end? I always forget. 12:10. Okay, so at about 12 or at about 11:55 or so, we'll get started on the exit task video. We might not finish it all the way, but you can write your thoughts as it happens. It's also linked in all the stuff in case you need. Okay? Okay. Let me unfreeze my screen as well. All right. So as far as the web design practice for today, I do not expect you to have everything you need for DCA2 done within the last 20 minutes. All right? The purpose of today, because we are still in that first week, we are still in that getting used to HTML and stuff, what I want you to think about is by tomorrow, if we look at Tuesday, DCA2, okay, your job is to find create a web page that has, I think I mentioned it, where was it? Okay, I need to update the instructions. The same way that with PCA1, you've had a list of 5 to 10 and then picked 3, bless you. For DCA2, you'll have that list of 5 to 10 tags that you've already been practicing, you've already been trying, and you just have to pick 3 to use VS Code to turn into a quote website, right? I'm air quoting with my fingers, as well as web page on the instructions, because they're not going to be on the actual internet, but it is practice for you writing this code and making sure you have all your ingredients in the right order so that you have a completed page at the end of it. Okay? You'll also notice, if you go back to the home page on Canvas, anytime I have a screen recording, like I'm doing right now, or anytime we do some type of screen share, once that gets uploaded, it gets attached to the specific day. Okay, so you can see what I did for the block period on Tuesday. And you can also see, by clicking on Wednesday, what I did for the block period on Wednesday. The thumbnail just hasn't loaded yet. There's a YouTube playlist on my channel, and then that links it directly to my YouTube channel, in case you want to, or you ever need to, review the type of stuff we do in class. Or if you're ever going to be absent, I upload these after. Obviously, I can't upload them before. It'd be cool if I was a time traveler, but I'm not. Those are always going to get uploaded after they get concluded. Okay? So, for our last little bit, I want to finish up the PowerPoint, talk about tracking your progress, and we'll get on to the exit task, okay? You know you're getting it, or you know you're on your way to getting it, if you're understanding the HTML tag format basics. Some of your vocab that I want you to kind of keep in mind are your start tags, your end tags, the word content, the word element, and while I'm saying these, remember the metaphors, remember the memory tools that I've used in class to demonstrate, as well as elements. And then IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. You don't need to know that. You just need to know that VS Code is one. Okay? Short for coder. Also, since we're in a citizenship type of unit, this is connecting you to more transit routes you didn't know about. Think it back to PCA1. And for this exit task, we're going to be considering how your phone fits into your life. Your life with it, your life without it, and your life between being with it and being without it. Okay? And phone can take the place of anything that has a screen that you do for either as a distraction or as a hobby, right? So these can be game consoles, these can be home computers, these can be whatever that might be if it's not literally a phone. Why are we doing this? Again, practice makes permanent. And in relation to the exit task video we're going to get started on, the more you look at something, the less scary it gets. Process is more important than product. And as we are all a member of a classroom community, being a member of such, especially a helpful one, is going to make everyone a better member of that community. In this case, we're web designers, but you're also classmates at Skyline. Okay? So your exit task, in case we don't finish it in class today, there's a linked YouTube video related to phones. Okay? And I want you to describe your takeaways from that video that I'm going to get started here shortly. Okay? We'll probably get about halfway through it. Okay? Make sense? Exit tasks are also open until the end of the week after they get finished, starting with this one, because I know people are going to be absent or what have you. So we're going to start on this video, and then that will be your exit task. You'll have some. Maybe we'll have some time tomorrow as well to finish it up. Okay. So I'm going to get started. You can also find it on, or actually on the exit task video here. So let's get this going. You're good. It's called "It Really Is That Damn Phone."
So I broke my phone the other day, and I had to go to the Apple Store on my mall to get it fixed. It was Wednesday, and the mall was empty, but the Apple Store was able to use Zoom. After waiting for
You're good to go, Kaden.
someone to help me, I got a guy who was really nice and just gave me a call.
I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
They did some software update on my phone, and it didn't appeal to me, but throughout that meeting, process, he apologized 2 or 3 more times and assured me that I would be able to use my phone again when it was done. Then, 10 minutes later, he came back, took it, and made a joke about how I would get it back tomorrow. He looked at me perplexed when I said, okay, that's fine, and then proceeded to apologize about the joke and that I shouldn't worry because it would actually only take 2 hours. He said I could play on the phones in the store while I waited.